Okay, so we have our next item for our conference is actually our family panel. And so as everyone is making their way up here, I'll do just some quick introductions. But again, when we were planning the conference, it was important to our team that you also heard the voice of the parent. And at the heart of all child welfare cases are parents. And we felt that it was vital that their lived experience was highlighted to show both the challenges and the successes of the use of technology during their case from their perspective. As with our Rising Leaders panel, these are the real experts, and it is our sincere hope that their courageous efforts to tell their stories help move the needle of change. So it's my great pleasure to welcome Patrick, Adriana, and Doretta from Families Inspiring Families to share with us some information this morning. So welcome.
So my name is Miranda Perkins, and I am a certified peer support in Lincoln, Nebraska, Families Inspiring Families. And I have been in the field since 2004. I have my bachelor's in human services. I have started out in Omaha, Nebraska in 2004 at an agency here. And then I was promoted to Lincoln, Nebraska to work at an agency. They ended up kind of shutting down the department December 31st of 2015. Wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. And so I got a phone call stating that they were looking for someone to work in this particular agency. I had heard about the agency, knew a couple of people that worked in the agency, kind of saw what they did. And so I was like, yes, I will definitely come work with you guys. So as a certified peer support, we walk the walk with our parents. Some people say, well, I know if you have never experienced these things, how are you able to help some of our parents? And my thing is, if you show empathy, just like you would want someone to show you, it doesn't make it hard at all. And so I ended up working with these two lovely individuals a couple years. And so they both had, cases through DHHS. They both no longer have a case through DHHS any longer. Their stories are different because we know that our families are not cookie cutter families. And so you may have the same dynamics. You may have a lot of things, but nothing is ever going to be the same in regards to two different families. So we are asked to come here and talk about Zoom and what I'm also going to speak about my experience with Zoom within my field. Okay. We roll down together, so it should be okay. So, we want to be safe. So, we're going to talk about, I'm also going to talk about some of the barriers and the positives to dealing with Zoom within my field, and they're going to talk about theirs as well. So, one of my questions to my parents is, can you tell the audience how long were you having participated in Zoom with your DHHS case?
My case lasted maybe like 3 years. I have 3 children. My youngest was placed into foster care with another 2 she was born.
How long did you use Zoom, do you think?
Like 3 to 5 months. And so that time was during when my youngest was still in.
Okay. And Mr. Patrick?
My name is Patrick Harris. What's the question? What again? I'm sorry.
How long did you have to?
I dealt with.
Well, you go ahead and you tell what you need to tell me.
I get nervous. So sorry about that. My name is Patrick Harris. I guess I have 3 kids, of which one of 3 was put in the system. The youngest was Katie. I think I went through the system. I know I went through the system for 2.5 years. Last past 6 months was a Zoom. I completed it and I have to go custody. But other than that, the thing that I had problem with, you said,
Not yet.
oh, I'm sorry.
This is
nervous.
formal.
I'm nervous.
Guys are gonna laugh a lot. We did this Tuesday. Patrick and I were at my house. And so it's like, okay, we're doing this about Zoom. And so, my computer did not, want to, yeah. So then I had to use my phone and then, so it's just, so it's funny because the technology we're talking about it, barriers, and we sat there and had barriers. But the positive thing was we were able to get what we needed to across to, but we weren't able to know that until he told us that they were clapping. Because we couldn't see, and we couldn't hear the clap. So it was nice for them to chat and say, hey, they're clapping for you guys. Yeah. So we're happy about that. So as far as services, what services did you participate in through Zoom, Adriana?
My visitation, some coordinating, therapy, my kids' therapy, and
I did therapy. I had to do a few parent part. Oh no, it wasn't a parent partner. It went from Cedars to what? I went from one applicant to another applicant for the healthcare provider. So I can't remember. It was Cedars and the other one, but it was probably for me. And other than that, a few court appearances.
Okay. As far as myself, court, family team meetings, school meetings, anything that the parent needed, we were able to do Zoom, we did Zoom. And so that was on my end as far as being an advocate. So we always have positives and non-positives to anything, and I like to always end with the positive things. So we're going to talk about some of the barriers that we have experienced during Zoom and during COVID. So Adriana, if you can tell them a little bit about the non-positive or the barriers to the Zoom.
So I guess I was trying to work for reunification with my children, and seeing them through Zoom, I wasn't able to parent them at all. There was no bond, like I had an infant, and so like I would be sitting on the phone or just like kind of talk to her and staring at her pretty much. And usually I would like hold her, kiss her, play with her, change her butt, but I wasn't able to do none of that. Also, my kids follow on the phone 24/7. It's either who has it or who's gonna hang up. And I guess just not being able to create that bond, pretty much, it was a good idea, but it was just hard to work towards reunification when you weren't able to do anything in person to show that you're trying.
And so also, like, you spoke Tuesday about foster parents and their perspective with visitation and during Zoom as well. So if you want to speak about that.
So the foster family took my oldest 2 in first, and so they kind of were there already, and then they decided that they were going to take on my newborn as well. Well, they had a baby shortly after my baby was born, so they had ended up with 4 kids in the 2.5 years. So doing Zoom was kind of hard because one of the parents had to be at work and the other one had to be at home with the kids. And it was hard to take care of their baby and manage what was going on during the video visit. They were pretty lengthy. Not only that, when my son started getting in trouble during the visits, I would try to say, you're going to go to timeout. And the one time he told me I couldn't do anything, but she was right. I was their video. What could I do? So they were starting to put him in timeout. Well, it started seeming like he was in timeout most of the visits, which in all together in court, they didn't look good because he was in the video, he was in the timeout most of the time and not on the video, which was what they perceived as bonding or parenting. In real life, he would have been in timeout and I'd have been able to either stop them from hitting each other or take the phone or whatever they're fighting over. Timeout, I'd be the one to be able to tell him what he did wrong and get him out. He have to be in his room the entire video. Capture.
Sure. Logging in.
Right.
Sometimes you log in. I've logged in where as though that I log in and have to call a person back to get another login address. There's many times that I logged in, my audio might show up, my video might not show up. I type in my name, it shows my tablet name, and then who is on this tablet thing? And so, I mean, I've experienced, as she was saying a minute ago, it was one incident that I had where though that if the parents don't have the time for a video, they won't do the video. There's nothing that no one can make them do the video, you know, so. Other than the bad things, that's one of them. See what else I had bad experience with that. Again, with that Doretta's house, I was trying to log in as well before I got upstairs. So I chewed on things and I couldn't log in when I saw her tablet and it kept spinning and spinning and spinning. And I think got to like 85% and we was done. It wasn't even over with yet. And that was on the tablet. So I brought my tablet too. I was trying to see the same thing, but I found that y'all doing Facebook. So sorry about that.
And so as far as myself and some barriers, you know, it's so as far as like the court hearings, for instance, we have the judge that's in one area, probably on one internet provider, and then I might home on another internet provider. I might have a parent that has a Wi-Fi phone that has to sit in front of McDonald's or Amigos to try and get some Wi-Fi, which is public and not private at all. And you know, as many people might be sitting on those different servers, one of the things that I noticed was that it would appear that my parents were like over talking the judge or the guardian ad litem or the lawyers, and that wasn't the case. It would be a bad internet connection, and so when they would come in, they would think that they were still where they were supposed to be at, still talking, and we moved on. And so that can appear like they'll be, you know, defiant or however way you want to go. I did have a conversation with one of the judges after court, and I explained to her, you know, about the fact that it was a bad internet connection. And I just want you to know that that's not what my mom's trying to do. And the judge who knows me was like, okay, cool, Doretta, you know, I'm glad you told me that. But I advocated for my parent because there's people that don't have that. And so their judges are thinking that they're, you know, trying to be mean or have a way it works. Just like he was saying, even with myself, you know, we may be on a family team meeting and I don't know, but our system is we can be on Zoom till Jesus comes, like for real. But some of the agencies, they can't. And so it'd be like, you'll see the countdown, and then everybody within the last 30 seconds is trying to figure out if we're going to log back on or who's going to log back on. And then, you know, we're sitting there waiting for, you know, to get that new information or realizing they should be go ahead and click back on the old one. And so we lose a lot of communication when it comes to that. So let's see. The other thing is when I'm face to face with my parent, I build a rapport with my parent. I start out services building a rapport with my parent. And so, like, for instance, if it was Adriana, I would have a meeting with Adriana, say, hey, I know this is going to be difficult for you. I'm going to sit right here. I can do this. I can give her a look. Like, if she's in court, they know to look at me, and I can give them a look, and, you know, that right there, like, you know, and nobody has to know that but me and her. But I can't do that over Zoom. Because everybody's looking at me doing that, and they're looking at me like, what is she doing? And so, that's a barrier, but also, with our parents, I'm able to tell them beforehand, hey, if you're, feeling a certain type of way, sometimes I can see it on your face. I'll text them and say, hey, turn your video off, turn mute yourself off. I can see it happening. But some parents are like really quick with it, and it's kind of hard to have that kind of interaction with our parents that I could have with, face to face. I can say, hey, we need to take a break. We all get up, we take a break. But Zoom is a lot different, and so, so those are kind of the barriers to having Zoom. But I would like to talk about the positives because there's definitely some positives to it. I know that this kind of came on kind of quick. People were not ready, even though everyone FaceTimes, for your own personal, all that, any kind of network. We're able to FaceTime and do those things. But being professional versus personal is a different type of situation. You have to get dressed to be on time. Most times. So yeah. At least your top half and you got on some shorts. I know I'm not the only one that does that. Just don't stand up. So the positive is like, you can be running late and you go into the living room and log on. We've been at home since March of 2020. We're just kind of getting back into where we go into the office. But that's only like maybe one day a week. But that was definitely a positive. You take your children to school if they go to school, or if they're on Zoom in the other room, you're able to check on your kids. You don't have to worry about daycare. But like I said, it's personal versus professional. And see, even with my job, we had to figure out little ways to not talk over each other because somebody's internet might be a little slower. And so we had that talk to say, hey, when you're done, raise your hand, or when you need to speak, raise your hand, just out of respect. But the positive is I'm still able to, it's not the same, but I'm still able to connect with a parent. I'm still able to advocate for them. I'm still able to, even though I can't give them a hug, because we're able to do that in this job. I wasn't in my last job. So this job is a lot different. I love it. The connection is different, but I'm glad that we are still able to connect. Because there's some agencies that don't get to and have not been able to, and then our parents are just left high and dry, and we definitely didn't want to do that. So in one instance, it was kind of scary, but in another instance, it would have been scarier not to be able to help my parents. So you want to talk about some positives to your world?
I guess my positive was just being able to see my kids. Not being able to see them, probably, like you said, probably would have been worse. I mean, if we're going to be honest, it was a lot easier to live my day. If they were fighting, I could try to do as much parenting as I could over the phone, but it was like, an Adam to play the smackdown, put the law down, and so it's kind of easier, and I think teach me a little bit more of parenting. My eyes, I kind of learned from these. I guess it was a good idea. It's like how I see it is like it was like a flat tire. We got a hole in it, and everyone got panicked, and they just patched it. It made it better for the moment. You still would drive, but sooner or later.
Patrick.
Positive note, I still use it today. I got my daughter 7 years old, and instead of me and the mother not together, so I got a tablet. And she's in school, she do Zooms as well. I was gonna tell you something bad about that part, but we're on off the bad stuff.
Well, you can go ahead, Patrick.
I forgot about that. Though when she was in school doing Zoom as well, it was the same part, still the same scenario. Where though she wasn't able to log in, not log in, or they thought that she wasn't participating, it was the same thing, same problem. But on a good note from that, she called me right now. She got on the tablet, hit the button. Hi, I pick up my phone. How you doing? It's definitely a positive thing to it. But it's a lot of more flaws. But that's the main important thing to me. I ain't got to deal with the other half. Not like that, not like that. It's just that, how do I say, when she feels as though she want to talk to me, she pick the phone and talk to me. Or if she want to see me, she can hit the thing and she can see me. That's what I like about it, really. Or I could just hit her where though that I could have a tab in the room. She picks up, it still come off with, I can see what she's doing in the room. I can see all the toys around, I can see everything around her, so it's a positive thing.
Anything else? Anything else that you can think of?
My main thing I want people to see is that it was a good idea. Like I said, so I gotta see our kids, but ultimately, if you were working towards a goal of reunification like I was, there was no parenting or bonding at all through it. There was no way to possibly do it. I couldn't teach them through it. Like my son said, I couldn't do anything. At that point, you know, I couldn't stop him from fighting or hitting or doing whatever he wanted, and it sucked. But I mean, I was just happy that I got to see them and the opportunity to see them, because I wouldn't have been able to do it without seeing them.
Anything else, Mr. Patrick?
Anything else? Let me think yeah, pretty much covered it. Zoom still, it got a lot of little flaws, but I'm sure it's gonna be here for a while. I'm sure.
Okay, any questions? Hopefully we can. Okay.
Yes, Andriana, with the in-person visitations, there have been issues sometimes with setting visitation up because the caseworker is not available to supervise it, or other barriers for in-person visitation. I'm wondering if Zoom visitation was easier to get things set up or to have that happen, or if you also encountered barriers with setting up Zoom visitations.
Well, yeah, I didn't never had Zoom actually. They just went through my messenger. And whoever had visitation with my kids through Pathfinders just found my Facebook, and that's how I talked to my kids.
Well, I just meant video as opposed to in-person. I'm using Zoom as a generic term for video presentation.
Well, no, to be honest, I gave them options. I even had family members pass background checks that were perfectly fine doing my business. An option, the Zoom or the option. They would just call me through my Facebook, and if I had a choice, I would have had somebody do the learning. And so honestly, from this is just me, but I was robbed of being able to become the parent I knew I was. I was just taught different, but I know I could do it now more than what I was able to. So rather have a person than.
Was it always the foster parent who was supervising the Zoom?
So
Your virtual visit?
it was like third party. I went to Pathfinders, the education center, and so they would, whoever was doing the visit would, dial my messenger. We wait for his foster family, to either get on the computer or the phone, do our visits, or we try to do them as much as we can.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm putting on my racial and ethnic disparities hat right now. In the state of Nebraska, child welfare system seems to be, well, it's not seem to be, the data shows that people of color are highly represented in these type of cases. Can you speak on the value of having someone looks like you, who's working with you, who's guiding you through the steps of the court system, you know, how to navigate the court system, how to navigate, you know, she talked about the look that she gives, you know, that's a culturally response, you know, some people would, like she said, would look at that as weird, but you kind of gravitate and go, I get it kind of thing. Can you speak on the importance of the relevancy of working with someone who might look like you? And I don't know your cases, but, you know, maybe you've had other experiences that did not gel as well.
My case wasn't a matter of color, it was more of a actually care. As my therapist stood up for the improvement. But it was kind of like she got to know me, and I haven't mentioned this to pull my emotions. So we had that opportunity in court. If I had a problem, we'd go in the hallway and just talk. I would just cry, tell her how pissed off I am. She would tell me it's all right, or if I have the right to be pissed off, or different things, and we just go back in, and I'd either be quiet and let her talk for me. I would tell her what I want to say in there, and she would just say it in the right words. Because when I say it, it just either sounded like I was aggressive, or I was saying, or I ended up saying the wrong thing, but I don't mean it that way. I just, I like to compare things a lot. So it was nice to have somebody on my side, period. And for her to, not to tell your personal business, but for her to go through some of the same things that I kind of go through, like not like this, the exact same, but the pain and struggle of life. It was a nice thing. It was a nice thing to have.
Oh, I would say, other than Miranda, it's probably been difficult. It would have been. I had her stay on an extra term after she was, what's it called? We only had a year, and then I had to stay on again. I think the ethicity of it, as far as the racial thing, yes, definitely. They wanted my child because she's mixed. I would say yes. Racial has a lot to play with in Nebraska. It really does. I did a lot of research on into where it's done that I've been to a few new meetings, and the head of DHS got to be a new one just on this, something just got in a year or so ago. I got the new rules. If I'd have known that when I came to Nebraska the first time to get the rules of how to play it, I would have been no problem. But we are lacking on the education of helping. I don't know anyone to help the right people or the wrong people. And that's not started when Miranda also, when I was into the situation I was in, I started helping people with families of hope, family inspired families. I was doing so much stuff and LinkedIn to give back, because what's no like giving back, or counseling. And that's I get nervous sometimes about a lot. But if it wasn't for Miranda, or I'm saying myself actually, I said I could do this. No matter what, I'm from Chicago, so no matter what I came through, I can do anything. But it's a lot of obstacles here. You have to overcome them. So.
Well, speaking about that, so I have an array of families on my caseload. And so from, you know, my color, somebody else's color or whatever, I advocate the same way. I have that same look for a person that looks nothing like me. But that's that rapport building. You know, and so that's just my personality. I'm mama bear, you know, so the same way. And I'll tell anybody, I'm an adult, I'm a grown up just like she is and just like he is. And so I can suggest things. I have a way of doing that to where I kind of help them make it their own. But no grown up wants another grown up to tell me what to do. And so it's so when I say I have parents that come from $300,000 a year jobs, I have parents that have been therapists for 20 or 30 years. I have a 4-year degree, and I bring my experience. And like I said, the one thing I love about this job that was different from my other job is, you know, at our other job, at my other job that I had, and I loved it too, but I wasn't able to, you know, hey, Adriana, you know, you got this. Hey, Patrick, you got it. or, just having that personal, rapport, that building with that parent. It was visitation, family support. I can give you what I can right now. I only have a couple hours a week and this is what's scheduled, compared to if Adriana needs something and I can pick up the phone, I'm picking up the phone. I don't care what time it is. Patrick needs something, I ignore him sometimes. But eventually I was and I'm thinking, we all know nothing. But he knows that about me already. And so but when I tell you no, my caseload is from here to there, there to here. So, but I bring the same thing. One of the reasons why I will say that some of the caseworkers will refer a case to me is because of that. And I'm not going to say it's not true because I do hear that. But some of them is not for that reason at all. But I'm able to help a parent not come off as, let's figure out a way for you not to, get your point across. When you can't, I will. But when you can, I want you to do that, because the purpose is for me not just to help you right now, but for in life, you can do this. And so we have a support group on Mondays from 5 to 6 p.m. It's called Surviving COVID. I thought it was only going to be a couple months, and I was wrong. And so even our parents that are no longer with us, they're able to log on if they have something to talk about. I have some parents that, they're having a situation, and I'm not going to look at the phone and say, oh, that's, whatever said Patrick. But Patrick, but if I have a parent that, okay, no longer my caseload, but I know you might be going to do something, especially like if you came to me or you came to our agency because of the school issue, and I see the first week of school, and I see that, I'm like, okay, we already know what it is. If I can help you with that, if I can give you a word of encouragement, or if I can direct you somewhere, and if that doesn't work, please call me and we'll get you reimbursed for services. But yeah, it's all across the board. People wait way more money. So. Oh, okay. Hey,
Good to see you guys. I sent you my mask on so you can see my face.
I knew it was you for the outfit.
You know it's me for my outfit?
Yeah,
I don't know if I love it.
it could be.
Oh.
You dressed up. You dressed up.
Well, thank you both all of you for being there. Patrick, I'm so sorry we haven't met, but I feel like I know you now. My question, thank you for being here. Question is, Adriana, you mentioned with Zoom connecting with the foster parents, and I'm curious, technology, how that impacted relationship with foster parent. Any thoughts on that?
Well, now that my case is over, I can tell you some stuff. Me and Miranda have the best relationship. There was times where I went over there during the COVID, where I would go and drop off Easter baskets on the door, or I paid for some lady dressed as Easter basket for their house, or go and have barbecues and stuff like that. So we were already we were on the same page. It's just I don't know how you felt from your side, but we felt like we're not allowed to have that relationship. Like, it wasn't supposed to be they adopted my kids and Audrey just had a picture. Like, we wanted to be a family, and because me and the foster family share some of the same values as in the family and things that happen. I'm very honest with them. I don't, you don't know that. I'll tell you anything. It doesn't matter. It made it a little hard because I guess to see what Adam and Reba went during that time, kind of like maybe what it was like when I guess it made us closer because like I'm there for them. Can't wait for the day they get a break, go on vacation by themselves if they want to, or and they will like do that and help them go over there and clean sometimes, even if it's just my kids' room. That's something, I'm supposed to try to be the social media super mom that everyone's supposed to be. If you're not that way, you're a bad parent, So there was some goods and some bads to it. It was kind of stuff you see how what they have to deal with, and I can't be there to help them, you know. Especially if she had her baby and Malachi would be hitting Liliani. If I was there, I could be like, you know, separate them and, you know, but it was good enough, I think. Thank you. You're welcome.
Other questions? Okay, it doesn't look like any other questions. So I did want to, well, first of all, let's give the panel a big. And I did want to just kind of say that as Doretta and Patrick and Andriana and I and staff have been kind of preparing for this panel and kind of discussing things, a lot of other topics have come up. And so this is really a first opportunity to kind of hear from the voice of parents who have kind of worked through the system in a variety of different ways. And so just know that there will be more conversations, maybe with Patrick and Adriana, maybe not. We'll see how it all shakes out. But I just wanted to sincerely thank all of you for coming and being a part of this presentation and sharing your experiences. And hopefully everybody that's here can take away a little nugget from what you shared today, and we can do things a little bit differently in the future. So with that being said, we are now on our lunch break. I believe our lunch is going to be out there in just a few minutes. For those on the live stream, we will be coming back at 1:15, so you have a little bit of a break. And so I want to, again, thank you all for being here, and we will see you after lunch.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
So we are going to start the afternoon with another Tiny Chat. And in this particular Tiny Chat, we learned some tips and tricks on how to be more professional on video. The interactions on video can be so different than in person. And this Tiny Chat teaches us how to connect with others through video and how to apply it in the court context. So I'm going to go ahead and get this one started.
Hey everyone, I'm Zach Zarno here with Danielle Hollywood Hirsch. As always, we're from the National Center for State Courts. You're watching a Tiny Chat. Today we are very pleased to be joined by Rosie Nguyen, who is a news anchor, and Jason Nguyen, who is a reporter at ABC4 in Utah and the Salt Lake City area. Jason, Rosie, thanks for being here.
Happy to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
So before Danielle hits you with our first gotcha question, I just want to make sure you two aren't too nervous. I know you do live TV all the time, but this is a Tiny Chat. It's kind of a different animal.
I will say that we're typically the ones asking the questions, so to be on the other end does make us a little bit nervous. And, we admire everybody who we typically interview, and we don't know how the other people do it. We like to be the ones asking the questions. So hopefully there's some forgiveness here if, we're not living up to the expectations.
I have faith.
Well,
I have faith.
Yeah, no, I'm confident we're among pros. This will be fabulous. So Rosie and Jason, we have you here because what we really want to talk about is how to be more professional and on video, because so many of us learned how to practice law or judging or interacting with the public face to face, but not so much through the medium of a camera. And you are masters professionally at figuring out how to connect with people through video or through camera. And so we just wanted to kind of learn from you and try to apply it in the court context. So our first question for you is, how is speaking through a camera different from speaking in person?
Let you take that one.
I think that when you're speaking on camera, there's a lot more opportunities for distraction. When you're speaking in person, you can tell if the other person is looking at you through their body language, eyes, right, and whatnot. But when you're speaking through a camera, there's a frame. Like all of us are talking through a frame. It's very controlled. And I think that many people take that for granted. When we're speaking through a camera, my number one tip is always to minimize as many distractions as possible. I kid you not, we were interviewing a state lawmaker through Zoom, and she Zoomed us from a restaurant with screaming kids in the background. And we were talking to her about a bill she was sponsoring, and she had to move. We could tell it was a restaurant because of the booth, and she was moving from table to table, trying to get away from the screaming kids. And I couldn't pay attention to what she was saying because all I could think about was the screaming kids. And another example that I'll give you is we were interviewing the author of a book, and he showed up to the Zoom interview with a polo shirt that clearly hasn't been washed in a while. His hair was all frazzled, and it was just so distracting because you're just thinking, like, how seriously is this person taking this? And so I feel like when you're speaking to somebody through camera, it gives them the opportunity to really analyze how seriously is this person taking this conversation. And there's all these other factors as well that you have to factor in, like, what does your background say? Are there other, and are there pets? Is there a cat like crawling back on the bookshelf back there? So those are all things that you have to take into account, and it just changes, I feel like, the playing field when you're speaking to somebody in person versus on camera.
I would say that the number one thing when we do those interviews is those distractions. All the other stuff can be mitigated, but when there's too much background noise, it doesn't matter if you're using a Zoom filter or not. It's going to come through.
That's good advice. And so minimizing distractions makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, for a court audience, are there other things you do to prepare to record and speak to video that might be particularly applicable to your viewers who are watching this?
Well, I'll take that one. For us, there's a couple of different things. Remember to look at the camera, because we're always kind of like, you'll see Rosie and I will glance down, we'll look at both of you. But while we're talking, it's good and important to remember to look at the camera, because everybody is looking at the screen. So if you're looking at the camera, it almost invites you in, like you're a part of that conversation. They're actually looking at you and talking to you. And that's all by looking straight at the camera and kind of bringing that human emotion to that feeling that you don't get when you're not in person. That'd be my number one anyway.
Yeah, I would echo that wholeheartedly. And I think that everything that you portray through a video presentation speaks to the audience. And with this technology, even with Zoom, I would say take advantage of your visual aids. We can now share screens, right? If you have something that involves a lot of data or statistics, when we interview guests, if we know that they're going to be talking about data or stats, we ask them to send those pieces of information to us ahead of time so we can make graphics. You have to think about yourself in the viewer chair. If they're going to be ingesting a lot of information, is there an opportunity to illustrate that? Because when we're talking about court cases, we do this really well in court, where we can present exhibits, evidence, right? But then through video, it gets hard, especially if it's a wide shot. You have to really lean in to see what that exhibit or piece of evidence is. And now we have the ability to share our screens on Zoom. And so I would recommend for those who are speaking to a court audience to take advantage of those options and those visual aids to keep your audience engaged. When you're throwing a lot of information at them, we have to be able to give them more pictures, videos, things that keep them engaged, other than that shot of what we like to call the talking head. If you're giving a 15 to 30 minute presentation, please don't just have the talking head, which is us, right, on the entire time. Because, you could be the most beautiful person in the world, but if we're going into something like a court case, I would highly recommend thinking of ways you can illustrate that or have visual accommodations with it.
With your backgrounds and stuff, we kind of kept it plain this time around. In the heart of the pandemic, we had a whole TV set going. We were living in a different place, so we were using a different environment. But the biggest thing that you kind of want is lighting, because the lighting is the key. And if you don't have lights, we kind of put 2 LED lights up over here, and I've got a ring light behind us so that it kind of makes us stand out just a little bit more. But if you don't have those lights, sitting in front of a window is key. In Utah, anyway, there's a lot of daylight. So
Do not have the window behind you.
Yeah, so behind you.
So many people do that, and then you become the shadow, and that's called being backlit.
Yeah, but if you have it right behind you with where the lens is, it just fills you in.
You mean right in front of you?
Or right in front of you, I'm sorry. It fills you in very nicely. So that way you kind of take care of like what you need to do with it. And then like if you're on the East Coast, it's a rainy day. I mean, even that just overcast light is really good light to have on you compared to your, fluorescent or LED lights that are above you.
Those are
Fantastic
awesome.
tips. Yeah, this is great. Can I audition for ABC4 real quick?
Yeah.
Oh, we would love that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Your lighting is good.
All right, here we go.
So that you were sitting some sort of light, like a window or something.
I got one there and one there.
Fine. Yeah, Danielle, yours is fine too. We can tell you're being illuminated by your laptop, which is good. I know you probably don't have maybe the option of sitting in front of a window, but using your computer laptop to illuminate your face is always a good alternative as well.
And Danielle, you can tell that your computer's elevated. So you're looking more straight on, which is...
Oh, the chin shot.
Yeah.
I cannot stand the chin shot.
Exactly. Trying to see that you're looking up at you. So that's kind of where you want to take care of your note hairs and stuff, because it's that upward look. Sometimes it's not as flattering. It looks good on you, but for me, it's just horrible. So it's good to throw your, laptop if you have one underneath something, a couple of books or something, just so that it gives you a straight-on shot, because that looks the best.
I think so too. Framing is another tip that we have as well. I was talking, I mentioned the chin shot, which is going from below up. It's when you've got the camera or your laptop like below you, and all you can see is that person's chin. Or, sometimes somebody is sitting too close to the screen, and so the top of their head is cut off. The ideal framing, which both of you are doing great at it, is you always want a little bit of a headroom. You want it to cut off like right around your chest, right? You don't want to be too far or too close. And in TV, you'll see a lot of stations will edit their Zoom interviews by maybe zooming it in if it's a little bit too far or whatnot. For us, when we're doing Zoom interviews with guests, we will ask them to adjust their shot accordingly, because that can also be another distraction. I'm shocked at how many people don't notice their framing and how distracting it can be when they're too close or too far, or if their chin is, showing in the shot.
Well, don't watch any of our earlier Tiny Chats.
We did. So
You should have done this topic at the beginning.
We were learning. We didn't have the benefit of your wisdom. We didn't know.
well, it's all right. Now knowing all of that, Zach, it's time for your audition.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see it, Zach. Let's see it.
You know Danielle Hirsch from Tiny Chats, but what you don't know about her will shock you. Her stunning secret tonight at 11.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Got the place and everything.
This is audition for Increment. You can be the next Bond Burgundy. You've already got the stash. You've already got the hair.
I agree.
Bond Burgundy. Yes.
I'm just.
This is like a more younger, charming version of Will Ferrell.
Yep.
I'll take it. I'm trying to line up options. I'm assuming the NCST is going to fire me at some point, so I've got to have some stuff down the road ready to go. Well, thank you. Thank you both very, very much for joining us and sharing what you've learned over your years on television with our audience. It's going to be great. We really appreciate it.